Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Tuesday, the day after Arsenal made or confirmed their first signing of the summer in Marquinhos, who I will talk about at the start of this video. Also go over a few things. Bernd Leno's agent's been talking about his possible move away from the club this summer, and of course Tottenham have made a big move in the transfer market today, signing a player who a lot of you guys, a lot of Arsenal fans have always wanted to see at Arsenal, Yves Bissouma. I thought I would have to talk about that a little bit, give my thoughts on it all, given it such a big talking point today amongst the Arsenal fan base. But we'll start with Marquinhos, who, no big surprise or anything. We knew this was happening. It's, I reported it a long time ago that he'd been over in England to sort things out. We were just waiting for the confirmation to come through. I expected once the transfer window was open that it was going to be confirmed, and that was the case yesterday. No big fanfare, no unveiling pictures or anything like that just yet from Arsenal. Just a regular statement on the website that Marquinhos had signed. Nothing from Mikel Arteta. A quote from Edu, who said, "We're delighted to have completed the transfer of Sao Paulo, as Marquinhos was the player we'd been watching for a while. At 19, he is still very young, so he's a player for the future. We look forward to Marquinhos now joining us for pre-season, making his new home and continuing to grow and develop with us." Everything that Edu says there is kind of what I've been reporting in terms of this transfer over the last few weeks. He has been signed as a player for the future. He will be given a chance in pre-season, as I said, as Edu suggests in that tweet there, to make an impact. And if he does, then there's no reason why he won't potentially go on and force his way into Mikel Arteta's first team's plans this season. We've seen it with other players in the past. We saw Gabriel Martinelli do it, who again, when he arrived, was very much billed as one for the future, but within a few months he'd forced his way into the first team picture due to his performances. Guendouzi as well, when he came over from France, is exactly the same thing. So we'll wait and see when it comes to Marquinhos, who's a winger. He's very, very fast, according to people that I've been speaking to over in Brazil. I mean, obviously I've seen nothing of him, to be honest. I've seen the YouTube compilations that have been put together since Arsenal's interest became known, but I've just speaking to colleagues of mine over at Goal Brazil, and they've told me, as much as they can about him, that he's a very fast, talented young winger, needs to work on his end product. Nothing that we've not heard before with these players. He's only 19, so he's very, very young. Not all players can come from South America and acclimatise the way Gabriel Martinelli did, which was pretty incredible, to be honest. Often takes a long time for players to adjust to new surroundings, coming from such a young age, from South America, coming to London, coming to England, adjusting to the climate, the culture, everything like that. It can be a big thing. So we'll wait and see how he does, but I expect that he will go over with the team to the US tour when that leaves at the beginning of July. I think we'll get our first proper look at him then. I imagine he will go. I haven't had this confirmed, but I imagine he will go over to Germany before that US trip. He hasn't been on international duty or anything like that during this summer, so he could well go over where they're going to have this training camp in Germany ahead of the game against Nuremberg. It's going to be a very young squad that goes out to Germany for this training camp, because all of the internationals aren't going to be back yet. And so you expect he might well get his first opportunity then. That might be the first time we get to see him in an Arsenal shirt in that game, and it will be interesting to see exactly how he does, what sort of position that Mikel feels like he could play him in. For Sao Paulo, he's been playing out on the right. That seems to be his best favoured role. Scored a few goals. I think he's scored about 4 goals for them so far. So it's not one to be massively excited about. I know it's a young player. At the moment, you want to see big first team players being signed, and that hasn't been the case of Arsenal yet, but at least it is one through the door, and who knows, he might end up to go on to be a absolute superstar. Who knows, we'll have to wait and see. But Marquinhos is signed. We don't know his shirt number yet. That's not been given. I suppose that will become clearer as the summer progresses, but that is Arsenal's first signing of the summer. Okay, so Bernd Leno, I spoke about this yesterday on the video, talking about the interest from Fulham and the talks that are ongoing between them and Arsenal to try and come to some sort of deal with Leno. Since then, his agent has been speaking about the potential move. There's a couple of interesting comments from him, actually, in this. He said, "Fulham is trying hard to get Bernd very professionally. This is also true for some other clubs as well, and it shows Bernd's status. But as I said, for me, he is the number one at Arsenal, and therefore we are also relaxed. He is a German national goalkeeper. He's always performed at Arsenal and is an absolute team player. For me personally, Bernd is the clear number one at Arsenal, with all due respect to the competitors. And by competitors, he obviously means Aaron Ramsdale. Interesting comments. I mean, not surprising. He's protecting his client. He's not going to come on. He's not going to go on there, so I presume, and say, look, Ramsdale's miles better than him. He wouldn't be Bernd Leno's agent for very long if he did that. But yeah, interesting one nonetheless. I mean, he's clearly not Arsenal number one because Aaron Ramsdale is. It's as simple as that. That's why Bernd Leno's going to leave this summer. It's because he's no longer Arsenal number one. Whether you feel like he is. I've seen a few people suggest that he's better than Aaron Ramsdale. I know Aaron Ramsdale had a slightly... how do you describe Ramsdale's end of the season? I wouldn't say he was awful or anything like that in the end of the season, but he wasn't quite hitting the heights that he hit at the start of the season when he came on and was just absolutely sensational. But he still made some important saves for Arsenal, and I think on the whole it was a very, very impressive first season for Arsenal. That's why he was voted by fans as came third in player of the season. But yeah, I mean, Leno's agents and Fulham are trying hard. There are other clubs, and that's true. There are clubs in Germany who are interested in Leno, but as I said yesterday, I think Arsenal will be very, very keen to try and get a transfer over the line to another Premier League club because of what that is going to do to Bernd Leno's potential price tag. You sell him over to Germany, not going to get that much money unless it's to one of the super clubs, which it's not going to be. It's not going to be to Dortmund. It's not going to be to Bayern. And so once you take those two clubs out of the equation, there's not much money swirling around in German football. So if you can get him to the Premier League, even if it is just to a freshly promoted club, there's still going to be that Premier League money running around, and potentially Arsenal could get more money for the German international, who, as I said yesterday, yes, he's only got a year left in his contract, but he's a very good goalkeeper. As his agent says there, he's a German national goalkeeper, maybe not number one, but he's been in around the squad for a long time now, never let Arsenal down. So they should be able to get some decent sort of money for him. But that's what Bernd Leno's agent has had to say about the potential move. Nothing's really moved forward with it as far as I'm aware at the moment. Talks still ongoing between Arsenal and Fulham. His agent will be talking to all other clubs as well. It's been made very clear between Arsenal, Leno's side, that he is able to move this summer. Leno's known that, Arsenal know that. It's just a case of his agent now finding the right club and potentially bringing in a fee that Arsenal will be happy with. So we'll wait to see what sort of job he does and when Leno moves. But I think it is only a matter of time and not if it comes to Leno going. It's a case of when. And we'll wait to see. Will he stay in London? Potentially so. I think Fulham's a very attractive looking move for him when he's very much settled here. Right, before I go today, I've got to talk about Yves Bissouma. This is one that's dominated social media since the news broke today. A good friend of mine, colleague from the Times, Gary Jacob, breaking the story today that Spurs had agreed a £25 million fee with Brighton for Yves Bissouma. Now, first of all, actually, that fee is going to rise. It's not 25 million outright. It's going to, there's plenty of add-ons and things like that. Bissouma obviously only has a year left in his contract. Now, he's a player who very, very popular amongst the Arsenal fan base. Not surprising because he's played very well against Arsenal in the past. And whenever people talk about, do Arsenal improve in the midfield, it's Bissouma's name is always mentioned. I'd love to see Bissouma at Arsenal. That's just a fan talking, because I just think he's a very good player. And as I've said, whenever I've watched him and I've sat there in the press box and seen Arsenal up against Brighton, it's impossible not to be drawn to Bissouma because he's always performed very, very well. And plenty of fans are in the same position as me when it comes to that. And I think that's why the fan base is so keen to see him join. So it's no surprise that this potential deal, it's not done yet with Tottenham, but it looks like it's going to happen at some stage this week, has caused a fair bit of anger and unrest amongst the Arsenal fan base on social media. I think it's not just because it's Bissouma. I think it's also because Arsenal haven't done anything yet, and fans aren't always the most patient thing when it comes to doing transfers. I understand that, because you always want to see your team strengthen and get better, and Arsenal need to get better. There's no doubt about it. So I think that the combination of the two, of the sort of impatience growing about Arsenal not doing anything, and the fact that it's Bissouma as well, a player who's played well against Arsenal in the past and has been constantly linked to Arsenal, but it's never progressed past that. He's not a player that Arsenal have ever bid for, ever entered talks with Brighton for, as far as I'm aware. It's always just been, he's a player they have liked, there's no doubt about it, but I think everyone would have liked him, everyone would have watched him, because he's been a good player the last couple of years in the Premier League, so every club's going to watch him, but it's never progressed beyond that for Arsenal. And I think some people may think it has, and things like that, and say, oh, he's turned Arsenal down this summer to go to Tottenham. I mean, that's clearly not the case. It's, as was the same with like Bruno Guimaraes in January, which seems to be, you see story after story of he rejected Arsenal to join Newcastle, which is just not true. And this is certainly the same when it comes to Bissouma. Arsenal never bid for Bissouma. Having said all that, if there was unlimited money and Arsenal were in the Champions League and they were having to build this super strength squad, then I would love Arsenal to sign him. But I can see why Arsenal haven't entered the running for him, and I'm sure there's going to get a lot of people going to be angry at that, saying, oh, he's better than Xhaka, he's better than Xhaka. He may well be, but unfortunately we don't know if Xhaka's going to go. Arsenal playing this 4-3-3 system, which is very rigid, we know that. Mikel Arteta has kind of focused on it. It's a formation, the system he's going to be playing, and he only needs one holding midfielder type, and that's Thomas Partey, if he's fit. And I know if is a big word with Thomas Partey because he hasn't been fit that much, but if Granit Xhaka's still here, if Sambi Lokonga, who again he had a difficult end to the season, but Arsenal spent a lot of money to bring Sambi in last season, and they absolutely, they still rate him, they still back him. Yes, he had a difficult first season, but you've got to remember he's a kid. It's his first season in England, first season in Premier League. He is going to get better. They can't just forget about Sambi Lokonga after one bad season for such a young kid when you spent that sort of money to bring him in from Belgium. They've got Mohamed El Neni as well, so you've got 4 players there potentially for one role in midfield. So when you haven't got money flying around all over the place, you've got to kind of focus it on the areas where you really want to add. And Arsenal want to add up front, they want to add in midfield in the more advanced number 8 sort of midfield role, which is why they're targeting Yuri Tielemans. And that's where their focus is right now. So as much as it's easy just to fume and be like, oh, why aren't Arsenal signing Bissouma? Or why aren't they trying to sign Bissouma? You've got to kind of take a step back as well and think, yes, it would be nice. Of course it would be nice. He's a very good player. But you've got to focus on your priority areas in where you think the squad's going to need building. If you've got 4 players potentially at the moment for one squad position or one position in the starting 11 in Partey, Xhaka, Lokonga, El Neni, can you really go and spend 25 million plus on another player when you've got to spend money elsewhere in the squad? I don't know. I was talking about the same thing with sort of Rafinha when I was talking about Arsenal's interest in him with Saka, but it's a little bit different because if Pepe goes, which he probably will this summer if a deal can be done, then you're basically bringing in Rafinha if that was to happen, and it's just 2 players for one position, which is understandable. That's what you need. But when you've got 4 already in the squad for that one position, it's very difficult to really justify it when you have to spend money elsewhere and you don't have unlimited resources. You've not got the extra money from the Champions League to go for. So, I can understand why people are frustrated. I really can. And as I said, Bissouma I'm a big fan of, and ideally, if I was sitting here playing Championship Manager, Football Manager, that sort of thing, I absolutely love Arsenal to go out and sign him and have everyone else in the squad available. But I think you've got to be realistic at times as well. And Arsenal don't have unlimited resources. They've got to spend the money. And I know, and I can understand why everyone's getting impatient because you want to see transfers done. And believe me, I want to see Arsenal improving their squad and strengthening their squad. But they've got to sign a forward. They've got no forwards in the squad apart from Eddie Nketiah at the moment. Even he hasn't signed a new contract yet. They've got to sign another player to fit that position that Granit Xhaka's been kind of filling in and done perfectly well in, but he's not a left-sided number 8. It's just not him. So Arsenal have to go out and buy a player for that position. And, potentially buy a fullback as well to cover there. But when you've got 4 players already for the defensive midfield role, which is only one position in his 4-3-3 system. Can you really sign Bissouma as well? I don't know. And I'm sure lots of you are going to disagree with me, and I'll read all your comments, and I'm sure you will disagree with me. Please do let them know. But I can, when I sort of take a step back from it all, when I take away from the emotion of just being a football fan and wanting to see your team sign the best players, I can understand why Arsenal haven't really gone in for Bissouma this summer. It just doesn't make sense in a lot of ways when you sort of pick the bones out of it all. But hey, I'm sure I'm just opening myself up to a hell of a lot of abuse with these comments. So as always, let me know what you think. Agree with me, disagree with me, let me know what you think in the comments below. Alright, that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I'm going to try and do a live video tomorrow, doing a bit of a Q&A type thing, so keep your eyes peeled for that. If I do it, it'll be over lunchtime, so if you get a notification, please do come on and join me, and let's talk about all things Arsenal, and then you can abuse my opinions all you want on that, and I'm always happy to come on and have a bit of debate, so keep your eyes peeled for that over lunchtime. Have a good day, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.